But even if they don't have to do that, I want them to have those base skills, because I would rather them be dangerous. Good men that are capable of being dangerous, having harnessed their inner monster, than being harmless and hoping everything goes well. Take control of your destiny.
We're getting closer and closer to actual conflict. I mean, as opposed to just fighting with one another over social media and calling each other names and poking and prodding with it. We're getting closer and closer towards conflict. And what it seems to me, based on some comments that I've read and stuff, is that a lot of people seem to almost look forward to it, right? They almost are eager for that actual conflict to occur for various reasons, I'm sure. And I think we touched on it last time, is that there's a possible silver lining in that we'll draw a clear line between good and evil, and then we can fight that evil, right? Mm-hmm. But there's also the other side of it that, I mean, you've been in war and you've seen how terrible it is and how horrible it is, and why on earth would someone in any shape or form look forward to something like that? And what kind of effects would it actually have on people's lives? And how is it, if you're okay with sharing it a little bit, how has it affected your life? And what are some things possibly that we can do to maybe mentally, not necessarily physically, but mentally prepare for that? And how could we cope with something like that?
Well, I think there's a couple reasons why some folks may be looking forward to it. I don't think they're all bad. One is people get tired of the not knowing, right? Not knowing who's this and who's this.
Let's just do it already.
Yeah. I mean, you see this in a lot of relationship problems between couples.
Yeah.
Is they can't figure out what the problem is, can't figure out this, and sometimes they break up just for the finality of
just get it over with.
Just the finality of it is all they want.
Like, I'm tired of fighting with you. Let's just fight.
Let's just get it over with.
Let's just punch each other in the face.
Pull the Band-Aid off. And we'll start anew on the other side of this. And it's like, that's an understandable life, because it is exhausting.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Because again, if it's the bad guys who want the Civil War, and I think it's clear that they do, then our battle in this is to, no matter what, don't give in to the bait. They need it. They want it. Don't give it to them. They will languish on the vine without it. Mm-hmm. All right? That's going to be tough. Some of us might lose our houses. Some of us, bad things may happen to us between point A and point B. That's your fight. It's like, you can watch on YouTube. They have Waterloo, the old movie from the 70s. And at the end, Napoleon's forces are going up against the infantry squares of Beef Wellington. And when you're in that infantry square and you're surrounded by thousands of Napoleonic cavalrymen, you don't break that line. That is what's holding it all together, is you hold the line. And it is such a psychologically challenging thing to do, is to sit there with your bayonet out while the hordes of cavalry are around. And the moment you break, it's over. Mm-hmm. Okay? That is where you're at. You are in your infantry square.
Psychologically, that's where we are.
Some guys are going to get hit. The cavalry is surrounded and running around your squares. But you do not have a defense or an attack against the enemy in the current tactical situation that you're in if you break the line. Hold the line. Don't give in. That's where I think our battle is. Some of us are going to take a hit. Mm-hmm. We're going to take some casualties along the way. Accept it. That's what a war is. You're not all going to get out of this. Okay? That's tough, but that's the reality of it. Second, I think part of the psychological motivation behind folks looking forward to it is that there is such a thing as righteous battle. Like, it's just not true that all war is bad.
Right.
That's not true. And that all violence is bad. That's just something rulers tell their slaves. Okay? Violence does solve problems. So maybe stop making problems. But there is righteous battle. There is such a thing as a good fight on the side of good. And it's not anti-Christian. You've got thousands of years of Christian thought that goes against this last 60, 70 years of Christians are pacifists at all costs,
Right.
tolerate at all costs. That I
Turn the other cheek.
turn the other cheek. Like, you have thousands of years of educated Christian thought that doesn't support sit here, take it, and let the pedophiles run amok.
Yeah. No, I get that. I definitely get that. It's just the somewhat eagerness towards literal conflict.
Battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, because righteous battle is a thing.
Yeah. But what kind? I think a lot of people that spout these things out don't really understand what that actually means. Like, what does it actually mean to go toe to toe with other human beings and send lead flying the other direction? What is that? What effect? If you don't mind sharing, what is that?
It's just battle.
Yeah.
And I think most of the folks, and I would certainly lump myself into this, is like, you understand it academically and intellectually, but then when you're immersed in it, the reality of it hits you. You know, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the psychological shock that Westerners experience post battle is you're being forced to grow up and accept the world for what it really is. It's like it bursts your bubble on how violent and how bad the world can get. Like, it completely destroys that narrative. And there's a lot of shock that comes with that. There's a lot of, like, it can be very upsetting.
Mm-hmm.
How you cope with it, I mean, the military does a good job of conditioning you to deal with it while it's happening. But society at large doesn't. Society is the bubble. So when you get into the military, you're fine, you can cope with it. When you get out of the military, you get back into a world where it doesn't exist. It becomes, I don't know, it's not that it's hard to talk about and hard to deal with. It's that very few folks are going to meaningfully understand it. That doesn't mean that veterans exclusively understand it. That's just not true. It's just veterans, for sure, are kind of lumped into that group. It's going to be, if a civil war and force goes down in the United States, it's going to be a complete psychological uprooting of our way of life. In the same way that World War I was to Europe. There's arguments that you're still seeing the effects of World War I and World War II in Europe now. That's why they're so passive. They're so defeated. The world was so dark after those wars that a lot of them just, the culture adopted this never again.
Never going to go to war again.
It's never worth it. It'll never be worth it. And that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Well, the reason you're seeing a lot of this stuff come in and the immigration working the way it is because a lot of the European psyche is defeated.
Mm-hmm.
All right? In the United States, we haven't had to experience that.
Right.
Our children haven't had to grow up in that. Only the men have.
Because we're winners.
Only the men have.
Yeah.
So we haven't had to take that psychological beating. Like, the Russians have already been through communism.
Mm-hmm.
They think what we're doing is stupid.
Yeah.
Right? We're making fun of them because 40% of their population lives below the poverty line. It's like, they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
They would rather live below the poverty line and live good, righteous lives than do any of the crap that we're doing.
Yeah.
That's forced to be reckoned with.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have a rude psychological awakening.
Yeah.
And it's going to, on one hand, traumatize everybody.
Yeah, because you said the military does a good job of it, and I guess, some people would argue for that, I guess, but I think that what we're up against is going to be different because it's not necessarily going to be we talked about before. It's not Napoleonic Wars. One side puts on red jumpsuits and the other side puts on gray jumpsuits, and then we go at it. It's not going to be like that at all.
We have been set up,
mm-hmm.
and part of the psychological trauma of the setup is going to be a lot of Americans are going to have to go against their psychological conditioning out of necessity. Like, what is an American? Like, not me, maybe not you, but many Americans are going to have to literally ask, what is an American? Because if you can't tell the difference between who your enemy is until they're shooting at you, what's going to happen is folks are going to realize, okay, this can't be maintained. This group, get out. This group, get out. And when that time comes, that's going to be the thing where I think most folks are going to be psychologically beaten. Because how do you tell the difference between, a Muslim invader who's here to cause trouble, Hamas style, who only immigrated in the last 6 months, versus Ahmed, who owns the store and has been here for 10 to 15 years? You don't, and they know it. And they think you're too much of a punk to do something about it. Right? And ultimately, who's getting screwed over? Ahmed, who's been here for 10 to 15 years. Am I happy with that? No.
Yeah.
But they have been banking on destroying your cultural identity in every which way that they can, so that you cannot congeal and unify behind a single identity. Or that's what they've been doing. They've been shattering that. And when the violence starts, it's going to get real racial real quick. Right? And then what you're probably going to see are this racial group after that.
That's the easiest identifier.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, it's okay. Look, other ethnicities exist. It's like, you don't have to believe it now because you were raised in America on social media. You don't have to believe it. Your belief is irrelevant. When the violence starts, you're going to real quick start figuring out, how am I going to identify those who are seemingly like me and those who aren't. First thing they're going to do is start notifying racial differences. It's not hate. That itself is a caveat. And one of the things that makes what the federal government doing so damaging is by taking these people and flying them to every pocket of the United States, so that if some stuff goes down, it is impossible for you to determine who's on what side without violating the current understanding of racial norms. Right? They're going to go to the UN and be like, hey, you need to bring in 500,000 Chinese peacekeepers because look at all these racist Americans running. It's like, no. You're being set up right now. And they don't think you have the guts to look after your own people and community. It's like, again, I exist over here. I don't care who knows it. I'm willing to cooperate with you in other communities, like under the Constitution, and be a good neighbor. I'll extend a firm hand of friendship. If we can agree that as a collective group, this is who we choose to be and these are the values that we'll support. But if you're going to shatter that and you're not going to allow that to happen, then of course I'm going to choose my family. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So what can we do in the meantime between now and then?
Become dangerous and become lethal. And the reason,
and that's physically and emotionally, right?
Become dangerous, become lethal, because the alternative to that is being weak. The Muslims that are coming over here, they don't drink, they don't smoke pot, right? Do you have that discipline in your life? Because they do, right? There's that whole thing, like, we used to make a joke about it, how Charlie doesn't do this and Charlie doesn't do that. Charlie can fight me in the jungle with a cup of rice. It's like, because Charlie's hard as nails. Yeah. Right? That's how you have to start thinking. These men, these military-age males that are coming over here don't need your food. They don't need your comfort. They've never had it. They're not used to it. They want to take it for themselves, for sure. But in the event of a conflict, they're tough men. They have survived. They're tough. We have been softened by decadence.
Everything.
By everything. The average American man is a soft, doughy, harmless.
And that's a fact. Yeah. Right? Look around. Like, next time you're out and about, look around and see. Just take in. Not necessarily being judgmental. And
it's the same thing with the average European.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you think these males are coming over here with such confidence and pizzazz? It's because
you're squishy.
Because you're squishy and soft, and they know it.
Yeah.
Right?
Pizzazz.
So they don't think you'll chop their heads off. They don't think you have what it takes.
Yeah.
And from what I can tell, they're right.
Yeah.
So, again, a good man is a dangerous man that has it under control. Right? A weak man has to have peace at all costs. because he is always going to be at
So
the
they got one
mercy
option.
of stronger, more violent men.
Mm-hmm.
So peace is his only option, even if it costs him his family.
Yeah.
Because he has no other alternative.
Right.
It's why that we have the Second Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if we were unarmed, what do you think the federal government would be doing to us right now? All right, well, we have an option. I'm not saying we're going to execute it.
Yeah.
But understanding that they're only going to take so much that's a big it's a big motivator.
Yeah.
But hey, most folks they're employees psychologically. I have no respect when I hear somebody, well, what am I supposed to do? I have a family to think of. Quit and find another job.
Mm.
Have you tried looking for another job? You have not.
Yeah.
So I don't respect that you're violating these people's rights.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Yeah.
You have every ability in your life. Now, you've made decisions that made you slave to your debts. Those are your decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But you have the ability to quit your job and go dig ditches, go sling lumber, go clean out shit from pipes. You have this choice. You won't want to take that choice. You want to maintain your status and your privilege, right? I don't care. I don't respect you. Like, you don't get an out from me because your salary's on the line.
Yeah, people give excuses for things like that all the time. Like, for whatever, it doesn't really matter what you're talking about. People are comfortable with, they go to school, they go to college, they get a job, they work that job until retirement, and then they die. Like, people are comfortable in that.
Yeah, they want to be cogs in the machine.
Yeah, it's comfortable and it's fairly easy, right? It's methodical.
They don't want to be free.
Yeah, they don't want the freedom or the responsibility and the risk that comes along with making your own way and being your own boss. But with that comes the freedom. I can do whatever I want, and I can't be as easily told what to do either, because I am my own boss. I don't have to be at work at 8 a.m. on Monday. Screw you. I'll do what I want.
I would argue that the largest employer in our county is probably Walmart.
Probably. Yeah.
Walmart has, by default, the ability to influence more of our population through corporate orders. Like, oh, you're not going to let people in and out with a mask, and you're going to do this, and you're going to accept LGBTQ plus, or else you don't get your paycheck.
Yeah.
It used to be there was 100 small businesses, okay, that did the same thing that Walmart did, and that none of them businesses had the power or had enough influence to push their own corporate narratives.
Yeah.
Like, what did our county win by opening up that Aldi's? What did we win? Oh, I'll tell you what the people who work in the county won. They sold off county property, right? Because apparently all we ever want, in our county is I don't know. Like, we don't want our trees and we don't want our lands.
Yeah.
Like, it's there for the sale, right?
Yeah.
But
we didn't need another grocery store.
Aldi's sells trash.
Yeah.
The food in Aldi's is poison. It is trash. Right? It is trash, and they put it right in front of the farmer's market.
Interesting,
right? And they could have. There's that shopping center by Walgreens. There's an old, unused grocery store. Mm-hmm. Why didn't we just allow them to set up in that grocery store? What regulatory issues are in place where it's more profitable for everybody involved to bring in an outside construction crew that didn't hire a single person from our county?
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. A brand new building, a brand new facility at the cost and the profit of selling that property, that public property, when you already had a building in place.
Yeah.
When our kids graduate high school, what are they going to do?
Have to leave and go
or
get a job.
Are they?
Yeah.
See, if we were focusing on building our businesses and keeping money within our local businesses and not giving it to Walmart, and instead of having breakfast at Sonic because I'm too lazy and fat to get out of my car, I could go wait the 10 minutes to get a table at Hole in the Wall.
Yeah.
Right? If you start living your life that way, instead of shopping at Walmart for your groceries, why don't you go to Foodland,
Yeah.
right? Who's been around for decades.
Right.
Like, why don't you shop? But it's more expensive. It's
Yeah.
like, can't help you, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, can't help you.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's long-term thinking, and that's long-term thinking affecting your daily decisions.
So if you're running your own business,
Mm-hmm.
potentially even making less, our kids will have places to go to,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like, my kid could get a job with one of our local businesses, Walmart jobs. Like, but they weren't meant. It's like, it doesn't matter if they weren't meant to support a family. These are the only jobs that are left.
Yeah.
Right?
Because you came here
Because
and
you
pushed
came
all
here
your
and
jobs.
put all the other life jobs out. Like,
Yeah.
look at Morganton.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a town.
No.
Right? Walmart put them right out of business.
Yeah.
The whole town.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
Right? So,
Post office?
post office.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. So, be independent, be lethal. Like, you got to start picking up local skills. Like, how are you going to set the stage so that when your kids graduate high school, they don't have to leave town to make a living?
Yeah.
Right? That's what's killing us. Is that our kids have to leave their communities in order to make a living. So they need to be able to stay local. Like, there's some job openings to be jailers at the local jail. Didn't pay much.
Yeah.
But we got it in our head, well, I want my kid to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. I was like, okay, that's all well and good.
Yeah.
But remember, maybe only 10 to 15% of most American males are going to make over six figures.
Right.
Right? It's like, why don't we start building something other than our salaries? Why don't we build something and exist and have a sense of duty and a responsibility, something greater than ourselves?
Yeah.
I will take the pay cut
Yeah.
to be part of a good, healthy community.
Yeah, I took a huge pay cut when I moved back here.
Me too.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
At first it was 100% pay cut.
Yeah.
So, but it was a huge leap of faith, so I could live a freer life and not be chained to a job that tells me what to do and where to be. So
I don't have nearly as much money as I did when I was doing commercial.
But I'm so much happier, and I wouldn't trade it. Like, that was the best decision ever. Like, I couldn't.
Worth it.
It would be. You'd have to drag me kicking and screaming,
I'll fight.
tied up to go back to a 9 to 5.
You will have to come with guns.
Yeah.
I will fight.
It would be so hard. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it to feed my family if I had to, but I'd figure out another way, because I think that's the thing. Like, if you live here in places like this, you have to be creative. You have to be willing to do lots of different things. Like, you can't just be stuck in this one street. If you're, I don't know, let's say an auto mechanic, and that's all you do, and that's all you've ever done, right? And then suddenly, like, you come to this community, and there's no opportunities to be an auto mechanic. It'd be a good idea to kind of broaden your horizons and be a bit more well-rounded.
I think a mistake I for sure made it is tying your personal identity into what it is that you do.
Yeah.
Like, I could say comfortably that for most of my young adult life, I would have told you I was a Green Beret.
Yeah.
Really, I was a husband.
That's
and
who
a
you
father.
were, yeah.
And I did the Green Beret stuff too, and I didn't understand that when I was younger. I do now. Like, I'm not a mechanic, I'm not a construction worker. So when guys are asking, hey, what do you do? It's like, I'm a family man.
I'm Joe.
Yeah, I'm a family man. That's what I do.
Katana.
Do ninjas have bow staff skills?
All right, fine. Upstairs. Try to be quiet upstairs. No stomping around for just a few more minutes.
I'm a pragmatist and I'm a realist, and I realize it's not as simple as telling the average American family to turn the aircraft carrier around.
Yeah.
So
Easier said than done.
it might be your better strategy is focus on your kid's future.
Mm-hmm.
You've made your decisions, right? But maybe focus on getting your kids the right skills and pushing them towards the better mindset. Maybe you can't escape your financial circumstances.
Yeah, so maybe you're in this career, you've been doing it for 20
You're
years.
stuck.
You're going to be there a little
Right.
longer and you retire,
Right?
but your kids don't have to.
overplayed your debt,
Yeah.
or you over leveraged your debt. Got it. Get your kids into kung fu. Teach them how to shoot. Teach them how to camp and survive. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm even at an age where it's like, look, probably won't be doing a bulk of the fighting.
Yeah.
But I would hope that, you know, my kids are ready to, if that's what it comes to. You know? But even if they don't have to do that, I want them to have those base skills, because I would rather them be dangerous. Good men that are capable of being dangerous, you know, having harnessed their inner monster, than being harmless and hoping everything goes well.
Right,
Take control of your destiny.
That's good. That's a good T-shirt right there.
It's like, you have to do that. Look, your kids are your future. You need to start thinking about your legacy.
Yeah.
Not just your retirement, but your legacy.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, leading up to possible conflicts that could occur here on the dirt right outside, get tough, basically. Not get tough physically, and getting tough physically will make you tougher mentally and allow you to make the right choices and stand up for what's right.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, if I were the bad guys, I would think the optimal strategy, looking at 2024, if I was really going to try to screw the U.S., is tie up the U.S. military in some type of foreign combat obligation. Literally get the bodies of our military off this continent. Right. Now, what they do there is irrelevant. Okay? Then, likely you're going to suffer for some type of blackout, cyber attack, something along those lines. There's going to be a hit on our digital infrastructure, because most of our digital security is outsourced to other countries. Imagine that. And then during that digital blackout, in the absence of our military, you know, that's when you start seeing the military age males either show up overtly wearing the flags of their country, or covertly wearing the flags of your country.
Right.
But either way, not operating in your best interest.
Yeah.
So that would be optimal. Do I think they're going to pull off? They might get some things, but I don't think they're going to get everything they want.
Yeah.
Right? The good guys are still out there.
Yeah.
But in the absence of knowing what to do and having a meaningful national strategy or state level or county strategy, the best thing you can do is learn how to meaningfully not be a wimp. When these guys come up into our county, you know, these military age males just meandering around, kind of take stock of who's what, they should come up to our county and be like, whoa, there are a lot of dudes up here.
Easy.
And they don't look like they're going to take our crap. Right?
Yeah.
So maybe I'll move on to the next county.
Yeah, easier prey.
Yeah.
That's one of the messages that I always preach about, like home security, right? Don't be the easy target. And if you make yourself appear as if you're not an easy target, they'll move on to the easier prey. Yeah. Yeah. Same thing can be said on a countywide level, right?
Yeah. And then what if all in North Georgia adopted that mindset? They might pull that crap off around the I-20 belt, where everybody's woke. You know, I'm serious. Or they're committed to that poisonous life of making money, you know, in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And the reason why
the convenience of city life makes you weak.
The reason why you see so many predators there is because the population in mass is just weak.
The predators aren't.
Yeah. Like, so for sure, if you go into downtown Atlanta and just run your mouth off to some gangbanger, they're gonna put you on your butt.
Yeah.
But that doesn't represent the bulk of
right.
Most city folks are just trying to get from day to day. They don't go to the gym. They don't try to fight. They don't try to be hard targets. And they're just juicy pickings for the predators. That's why the predators are down there in mass.
Yeah. That's where all the prey is.
That's where all the prey is.
That's the watering hole.
Yeah, that's right. So you try to pull that stuff up in the rural counties, it's like, you know, look, everybody gets a free punch. You're going to get away with that first punch, that first crime you commit, that first intimidation tactic you do. You're going to get away with the first one.
Yeah.
But it's not the same population in the city, and they're not going to accept it.
Yeah.
They're not. Like, I wouldn't accept it.
Yeah. No, definitely not.
Like, not even close. It's like,
yeah. I mean, just like if you caught wind of there being a couple of break-ins in the local area,
people are going to get pissed.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't last long.
Like you would not have a problem with the community outreach.
Yeah. What about after the fact? Like, what about after the dust settles? What
post-conflict?
Yeah.
There's going to be warlords. It's like, that's it.
Really?
Yeah. It's like
biggest, toughest dude on the block making calling the shots.
The most effective guy on the block. It's probably going to be a blend of good politics, good people skills, highly respectable combat skills, right? But somebody that can lead a community and defend it if necessary is going to have just as much pull as some dude who thinks he's elected into a position of power. Right? Optimally, you want them to be the same guy.
Yeah.
But I think, believe it or not, I think George is cleaning up rather well. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of the stuff about our elections, it's all kind of coming out in the wash.
Right.
So I don't think our 2024 elections are going to be as susceptible to tampering as 2020 and 2022. Like I don't believe our 2022 results. But
what
conflict?
Yeah. What about on an individual level? Like, so I mean, that's I get that.
There's not enough food to feed 300 million Americans. Mm-hmm. It's not enough food to feed the immigrants. If the system collapses, there's going to be death. There's going to be destruction, and there will be no choice but for the communities to take off their "I'm trying to be peaceful" hat, and I will put on my Viking hat, and we will end this. Mm-hmm. Like, we will bring stability. There's going to have to be some type of, I'm not saying it's going to be medieval, but like even in Iraq when that country fell, the top dogs started to like show up on top. So yeah, we may have said that this guy's in charge of this district, but everybody knows that this guy
really is
in charge of the district.
The primary point that I want to get at is that it's going to be gross. It's going to be disgusting. It's going to be awful.
No, we're not all going to make it to the other side.
Yeah, and that's not the goal, right?
It's not my goal. I want to cooperate.
Yeah,
and I want peace, and I want there to be a treaty, and I want there to be this. But I'm not under any illusions that if you guys bum rush us, we're going to fight back.
Yeah.
It's like you're not getting free land. You're not getting free anything.
Right.
Your grift only works so long as you have traitors in our government allowing it to happen. Mm-hmm. But either we replace those traitors who are selling us out, and I think there'll be a lot of that.
Yeah.
Or those grifters that are in positions of power right now, they're not going to save you from us. Mm-hmm. Like we will defend this country. We will defend our communities.
Yeah.
It's like if you think you got it, if you think you got what it takes, okay.
It's a powerful force, somebody defending their house.
Yeah.
Defending their home.
They will chop your heads off.
Yeah.
Like there will be no rules of engagement. If you guys stoke the fire, it's going to be violent.
Yeah. It's totally different. I mean, it's like you enlist in the military, you get shipped overseas somewhere, and you're fighting because you've been ordered to do so, and you do this and that, whatever, because of reasons. It's totally different than being here and defending what you believe is yours.
Yeah, as an American, take comfort in knowing that one of the mistakes they made in their global play was the global war on terror. That was a mistake. If they really wanted to do what they're doing now, they should have just skipped that piece. Because what they did was they put tens of thousands upon thousands upon thousands of veterans back out in the community who will absolutely lay waste to your ass.
Uh-huh.
And will have no problem doing what it takes.
Yeah.
You have a hardened veteran community in the United States, and they're fully armed.
Yeah.
And they're under no illusion of what it's going to take to repel you. Mm-hmm. Right? You're not walking into Germany, you're not walking into France, or any of these countries that marginally have participated in the war on terror. And I'm not taking away from the veterans. Good on them, man. The warriors are warriors. Respect. Right? But none of the countries has hardened their veteran population quite like the United States has. And there are thousands of Rangers and SEALs and MARSOC Raiders, Green Berets.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Especially here.
You've got
especially North Georgia.
You've got the 82nd and the 101st and 3rd Infantry Division. And like these dudes fought. Mm-hmm. Like it's not that Instagram crap you see on TV where it almost looks like news stories. These dudes were engaged in hardcore sustained combat.
Yeah.
Right? And now they live amongst you. And they're spreading their knowledge.
Yeah. I don't see those guys that often though. I mean, I see you obviously on a regular basis, but and I see a few other buddies, a handful of
because they want to be left alone.
That's right. But you just don't see them. They're just not out in the public, sphere very often.
You would be a fool to believe that they don't exist.
Yeah.
Because the moment you flip that switch, right? Everybody talks about you can make the conditions bad enough where a neighbor will fight a neighbor over a loaf of bread. That's true. But you can also flip the switch where the veterans go Starship Troopers and like, we're not doing this. We are the force in this country.
Yeah.
The young men will follow us before they follow any of these scumbags in leadership positions.
Sure.
So if you put this country in a position where Americans have to fight back, they will.
Yeah.
Now, what you're seeing is the reason why it's not happening yet isn't fear. It's not cowardice. That would be your mistake to make. What you're seeing is these are good people that live by good values. And they're giving everybody every opportunity possible.
They don't want that. Yeah.
They don't want this.
Yeah.
To resolve this peacefully, amicably, with integrity, right? Real justice, not two-tier justice. And allow this thing to happen through law and order. We're not going to abandon the Constitution just because it's tough. But if push comes to shove and things get silly, it's like, yeah, they're going to fight back. They're not going to roll over.
Right.
Because they know darn well what you're going to do to them. You're going to chop their heads off. They're not doing that.
Yeah, I think it's a small percentage though. I mean, I think there's a lot of them out there, especially in our area, based on just where we are, but I feel like there's a small percentage of people that will actually fight back. A lot of people would just roll over and say,
I think the sheep will.
That's what I
The
mean.
sheep
And
have always been like
but that's the bulk, though. That's the majority, is what I'm saying.
What I'm arguing is we don't have, we do have a large population of sheep just because we're a big population.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is you have far more wolves in our population than people think.
Oh, okay.
They're just not acting
Yeah.
like wolves. They're trying to get back into the herd, but you won't let them.
Yeah.
Right? Again, it's not like going into Germany or Belgium where they haven't done much in the last couple generations, militarily speaking. There hasn't been a lot of fight there.
Right.
Right? And that's a different psychology. The war was held on their soil. Right? I'm not bashing them for it. I'm just calling it what it is. You're running these criminal immigrants are running into Europe because the Europeans, in my humble opinion, probably have more sheep than they have wolf. And that's causing them. I think that's going to self-correct real hard. Right? Real hard. And even Americans are going to be a little worried about what the Europeans are going to do. Because we've gotten comfortable with the fact that Germany doesn't really have a military. We've gotten comfortable with these countries don't really do that because Americans have been supporting that. Well, that's coming to an end.
Yeah.
And out of their own self-interest, a lot of these European countries they're gonna rearm.
They're gonna rebuild their armies.
And how comfortable are you gonna be with an aggressive European nation state? It's coming, folks.
Yeah.
Now,
you can't trust the Germans.
It's like they're not reporting on the German farmers right now.
Yeah.
That's a huge protest in Germany. None of the mainstream media is reporting on it. It's like the Germans have had enough.
Yeah.
Like they've had enough. They've had enough. Same thing with the English. They've had enough.
Mm-hmm.
And they're openly talking about throwing them out.
Yeah.
Right? We're not going to ask you to leave. We're going to make you leave. Mm-hmm. Is a very common dialogue amongst the indigenous ethnic groups of those European nations. So the world is changing.
Yeah.
Right?
Fast.
So that's why they're trying to cram as much damage as they can because they know it's coming. And same thing in the U.S. They're trying to cram as much in as they can because I believe at the end of this year, we're going to know what's up.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I've most of the time leading up to now, I've always been, people are just going to talk. People are talking. Nothing's going to happen. But I don't think that's the case now.
No.
Something's going to happen. I have no idea what, but something's going to happen.
This is coming to a head.
Yeah, something's going to happen. I don't know what's going to look like.
That's what I'm saying. I think some folks are looking forward to it. I mean, I would marginally put myself in that camp. It's like, I would just be happy when the bullshit stops.
Yeah.
The evil is
even though you know what to expect.
Like, I don't
More
think
than
it
anyone.
has to be bloodshed.
Yeah.
I think law and order, the Department of Justice, who is absolutely betraying the United States right now, okay? But I think we have the capacity to handle this as peaceful as possible, as minimal bloodshed as possible.
Yeah.
And give due process to criminals, but hang them nonetheless when their convictions come back for treason. Mm-hmm. Right? Like if you're convicted of treason in a public trial, so that we can all witness, Like not these behind closed door shenanigans like they're doing with Trump. We know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? Military tribunals, juries, all that stuff. It's like real justice, the rule of law will prevent the bloodshed. Right? The Department of Justice not doing that right now is a guarantee there will be bloodshed before this is over.
Mm-hmm.
Justice denied is vengeance applied. That's how it always is. We got rid of the vengeance system and replaced it with the justice system. But people aren't going to take it. So if they're not going to get justice, they will get vengeance. Right? That's the human condition.
Yeah.
You harm my child, there will be an atoning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to allow law enforcement to deal with it.
Yeah.
But you will not get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So a corrupt Department of Justice is the most dangerous thing in terms of provoking a civil war. Political prosecutions of everyday Americans. Racial shit that they're pulling off. They're pushing the civil war so they can justify. Look, they already call us terrorists in our own country.
Yeah.
Who
are we terrorizing?
Here's the federal government, as it's operating now, has basically seceded from the United States. They have seceded from the United States. The federal government has. They have declared themselves separate from the country.
Yeah.
We no longer adhere to your rules, values, or systems. We are separate and independent, right, from the United States, and it shows.
Yeah.
So citizens of their country, the federal government, right, they get treated with rights, and citizens of your country, the United States, get treated as domestic terrorists because, after all, you're occupying the federal government's land.
Yeah.
That's it. The federal government has seceded from the United States.
Infuriating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much.
it used to piss me off. And then, because I mistakenly believed, but I've poured blood, sweat, and tears, and I've sacrificed whole families to this country. It's been very difficult for me to believe in the Constitution, but I do believe in it.
Yeah.
I think it will prevail. I believe it will prevail. Like, I'm not worried about that. The federal government is not the country.
Right.
It's not. It is an administrative entity. It is a tool for us to use, and the tool, like AI, has gotten sentient and gone rogue. All right, it's not us. What the federal government does is not the United States. If the federal government is pissing the Palestinians off by supporting the Israelis, it's like, I hear you, Palestinians and Arabs, but I'm asking you to consider that we don't like them either.
Yeah.
Right? So if you attack us and put us in a position where you two are ganging up against us, the enemy of my enemy is my friend thing, like, you're going to put this country up against the wall. Don't do that. You'll be making a mistake. Because we could have... Our warriors are, and our military is vastly superior to anything in those countries.
Yeah.
Wildly superior. And what you saw in Iraq, besides all these lopsided victories, right, was truly restrained combat conduct on behalf of the United States.
Right.
We could have just sent them back and
just
into
burn
the
the
Stone
whole
Age.
place down. Right.
Right. We could have done that to any of those countries out there. They would have had to nuke our armies to stop us, because there would have been no stopping us.
Yeah.
That is what you will unleash if you involve our families as a response to what the federal government's doing. This ain't Israel, right? It's like, if you're,
the rules will no longer
the rules
apply.
will not apply to you.
Yeah.
So don't put us in that position. Again, I'm meeting you over here, right? In a spirit of cooperation. If you want my respect, go home and fight for your country.
Yeah.
Right? You go home and fight for your country.
Yeah.
Right? I think you're just shirking your responsibility by coming here. If it is at your asymmetrical warfare strategy, I accept. But I accept. I know what modern warfare looks like. It's like, I got it. I accept that's part of your strategy, but you're making a mistake. Because you're going to ignite the culture. You're going to ignite Europe. And I don't care if that happens. I don't want it to happen.
Right.
But if it happens, it's like, okay. look, if you rob a store and the store owner shoots back, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Look, I don't want you to get shot.
Yeah. Don't rob the store.
So don't rob the store. What they're trying to do is get the two remaining Christian civilizations to go to war with each other. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get the Eastern Christians to nuke the Western Christians and vice versa in the form of starting a war. Well, who benefits from that? Well,
who benefits from World
the
War
Christians.
III? Yeah. No,
right?
Definitely not.
And whether or not you're on, if you're some, intellectually lazy atheist and you claim you're not part of the club, you're part of the club, dumbass. Mm. Because they say you are.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're there, you're it. Yeah.
Right, so you're part of Christendom whether you want to be or not. Now, you can leave Christendom, which means leave in America, leave in Europe, and you can go live in any of the other superior civilizations and religions you speak of. Mm-hmm. Right? You can go, but you don't.
Enjoy that.
So,
but you won't.
But you won't.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can go do the Hajj and go to Mecca, convert to Islam,
yeah.
and go see the Kaaba for yourself because whatever. But you don't.
Yeah. It's like all the famous people, musicians, and said that they would leave the country if
They're
Trump
losers.
got elected.
They're losers,
and they don't.
Yeah, they don't. Because they're losers.
Yeah.
The only people who win by World War III being nuclear between Russia and the Western nations is all the other nations, who desperately want us to be that dumb. Because you can't beat us.
Yeah.
We can only beat each other.
Yeah.
And that's always been the case. You cannot beat us. We have to kill each other.
Right.
That's what the Romans did because they couldn't beat the Germanic tribes. Mm-hmm. So they kept them fighting against each other. Because the moment the Germanic tribes unified, Rome was done.
Right.
Right. It was over. It was all over but the crown.
And that's happening now.
And that's happening now. They want to pit one barbarian tribe against the other barbarian tribe while they sit back and pick through the ashes.
Interesting.
So don't do it.
Crazy times.
That's what I'm saying. Hold the line. Hold your infantry square.
Hold the line.
I know that they're running around and it's scary and they're doing all that. I got it. Hold the line. Don't give in.
Don't give in to that.
Don't give in to that.
Well said. Let's end it on that.
Yep. All right, buddy.
Thanks for watching. I'm Jason Sawyer with Survival Dispatch. As a Survival Dispatch insider, you'll be able to gain the knowledge, the skills, and equipment necessary to protect your family when it really, really matters. They'll provide crucial information on such things as stockpiling food, medical necessities, communication plans. You will receive specific, actionable plans. You can deliver proven techniques to help you get home, shelter in place, or bug out safe.